Welcome to the Voluntary Option with your host, Peter Yates.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Voluntary Option. I've got an incredible special guest who makes the camera look so much better on the screen than I ever can, and that's my wife, Helen. And Helen's joining us here tonight because we're going to sit down with two really good friends of ours.
Yes, and Ken Armstrong and his wife, Dawn. We are going to sit down and we're just going to have a chat.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about libertarianism. We're going to talk about what that means, the platform. We're just going to have a little discussion about
with all the
changes we could make in the world today that are just so necessary.
There's just been a lot of craziness so far online, especially with podcasts, with all this COVID stuff, and now we've got inter-party tension and friction, and
there's tension everywhere. It's just not in the party; it's in all the industries.
Right.
It's with people can't even go out and socialize anymore without getting into an argument about one thing or another, whether it's wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, COVID real, COVID not real.
Right. So let's just have a nice little pleasant conversation today, and get to know this couple as well, because when we were at the convention in California is where we met them. Personally met them in person. I had Ken on my show a couple times before that because I saw him in Orleans in New York when he stood there and did the debate there. And I was impressed by him then, and I was. He was one of the people I was completely impressed by that was on the stage that evening. He's someone I could see representing us.
He understands political science. That's obvious, and he's a very well-spoken man, and he's got a command.
And then again, we met them when we got to meet him in California. We just fell in love with Dawn as well. She's just a sweetheart. So without further ado, I will bring them to the screen. And folks, please welcome Mr. Ken Armstrong.
Mrs. Armstrong.
And beautiful wife, Dawn.
Hello. Peter and Helen. Hello there. Hey, we love you guys.
Good to see you guys again.
But if we impressed you, you're easily buffaloed. So, that's all right.
Well, we love you guys too.
We really do love you.
Well, thank you. It's not an easy task being an activist, but that's what we choose to do.
Well, we got 4 days with them, and we bumped into each other 50 different times during it, and took some pictures, obviously, and I got to sit down and know him even after, like I say, the interview and the hearing him speak. And we were truly impressed by you, Ken, and Dawn, you're just a spectacle as it is, honey. You compliment and push him up and elevate him to where he needs to be.
It's a very calming balance.
Thank you.
So something needs to be said, because I think not just libertarians, but the world needs to hear this and understand this. Throughout the campaign, you were actually supporting another campaign. And a guy that I love, we won't go into that, but a guy that I love a lot and have a lot of respect for. And you were supporting his campaign. And that didn't impact the fact that we love each other and we're great friends.
We're friends.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you another little similar story. When we were in Illinois, Sam Robb got sick and he had to go to the hospital, and he couldn't be at an event one night. And so Dawn saw that his table had all of his material spread out on it, but people were using it as like a snack table. And she went over and ran his table and passed out his materials. And people said, "Well, who are you?" And she said, "Oh, I'm Ken Armstrong's wife, but Sam's not here, so I'm filling in."
And that's the libertarian thing to do, isn't it?
That's the human thing to do. That's
right. That's what friends are for.
Yeah.
So we've gotten into this tribalism thing in the world, and it's just so much better to just say, "Hey, I love you. We may disagree about this or that, but you know what? All comes down to it. I love you is more important than whether we agree or not."
That's right. Well, agreeing to disagree is a healthy debate in my eyes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
We worked on the Kokesh campaign. I don't mind mentioning it. I mean, I was Adam's delegate whip, but Helen and I initially, when we went out on the road, Larry Sharp appointed us emissaries in New York. and knowing we were going to be traveling the country. And that was the appeal to us.
For sure.
That we got to meet everybody that is in this party, that is working so hard to try to get into office, to truly make the changes that we need.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the beauty of it. So to us, it didn't matter who we worked for.
Right.
It was, let's get proper person in office.
Right.
And it didn't, it really truly didn't matter.
Absolutely.
And now I bolster Joe, you know, Joe's all over my page, and she's, you know, and that's what we have to do. You know, that's what we have to do.
That's what it's about. Well, I don't think that we're going to meet the changes that we're all looking for without that.
No,
you know, it's a prerequisite to get where we want to go, you know, to behave in that manner and have that professionalism and ethics within one another, within each other, for each other, to get to where we want to go. So it's just it's a character building, no matter what.
We met you were running for president, you know, and I'll tell you, if you run again, they're going to have to beat me away from you, Ken.
For sure.
Because you're a beautiful, beautiful human, and I truly believe you'd make some changes.
That's very kind of you. And I'll just say for the record right now that we will wait and we will see, because I don't need to be president to satisfy my own ego. What we want to do is we want to see who the Libertarian Party puts forward in 24.
Okay.
You know, if it's Joe Jorgensen for re-election, or you know, whoever we're putting forward. If we're putting forward the right candidate, then I need to support him. I don't need to do anything for my own ego.
Right. And that's the beauty of our party, that we take away that distraction, I believe, quicker than the other parties do. You know, other parties are still just trying to stick in there, and then there's all the slander. But the thing that always cracks me up about it, and the thing that was beautiful about the first convention that we attended, was when you heard the candidates speak, it wasn't speaking ill about the other candidates. You know, it wasn't throwing mud. It wasn't slinging. It was, no, we all have the same ideas. Mine may be a little bit different than yours here, and yours might be a little bit different than mine here, but we all stand behind the principle of the party. And
Exactly.
And I don't think the other parties get that. First of all, I don't think the other two parties have principle. So it's kind of hard, you know, to stand behind principle when you don't have principle to stand behind, you know. But Ken, listen, I understand 2024 may be out of the question, but how about, like, in your state, in 22, maybe? Are you possibly thinking of something along that?
We're feeling it out. There's a possibility of a congressional run for 22. Again, I don't need to do this stuff for my ego, so we'll only do it if it's the right thing to do. But Kilmer, the congressman who represents us here in our district in the state of Washington, really needs to go. He's really part of the big government problem. Okay. And so we need to either find a libertarian who can launch a legitimate campaign against him, or we need to take time out and do it ourselves.
Let me ask you a quick question, Ken, and I value your opinion on this, because you've been in the party longer than I. You've been more active longer than I have. Why do you think we have so much discord at this point in time? Why do you believe that we're attacking each other on a daily basis? Are you putting that up to ego? Are you putting that up to the current situation of the state? What is your feelings on it?
You know, I think it's kind of the national culture right now, and sort of the social media vibe. I got to tell you a little story. So my first 3 debates were Dayton, Ohio, South Carolina, and then Olean, New York. And at all 3 of those debates, the candidates, when we were in the green room before the debate, we were buds. We were getting along just fine. The acrimony isn't between the candidates. You know, you can't get too much different between me and Vermin Supreme. You know, I'm the minarchist Prague guy, and Vermin is the wild anarchist guy. And Vermin and I are dear friends, love each other, get along just great. That acrimony didn't happen between the candidates. but there's an idea of tribalism. You know, I got accused of saying things about other candidates, and when those candidates found out that their supporters were accusing me of that stuff, they got upset because they knew that that wasn't real. So, so we got to get away from this whole tribalism, circular firing squad thing. It's hurting the party. That's why, by the way, as most people know, it was my last minute endorsement of Spike Cohen that locked him in for the nomination.
Absolutely.
And some people were upset with me about that because, being a prag, why did you support Spike? I did because we need that unity in the party.
For sure.
Absolutely.
There's a balance
I agree
between
100%.
the two of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh
100%.
yeah, that's so necessary.
They are yin and yang, like
For
no
sure.
other yin and yang. There's no
Right.
doubt.
Exactly.
And that's what creates balance. And people say to me and Helen all the time, "You guys are so much alike, but you're so different.
We
You're
are.
just so different. How do you guys even stand getting along?" Well, that's how we get along.
That's right.
She checks my balance, I balance her checks, you know, and that's just the way it is. She's a Gemini. She's got two of them running around. I'm a
That's right.
Libra. I got the scale. I
Yeah.
try to balance both of
I
them
need
crazy
both
people.
to keep him
I'm
in
a
line.
No, I
Yeah,
I think
I know.
you're
There's
right.
like-
Yeah,
Dawn.
I think that the ticket right now is a good thing because
For
they're
sure.
diverse candidates and they
Mhm.
both appeal to different people in the country, and so it's an exciting ticket, really.
And
It
it says to the party,
Stop it.
we can get along. You know,
Yeah, right.
it's a huge message
Yeah.
to the party.
Right.
You've got Joe the Prag and Spike the Anarchist,
Right.
and they're working together, and that's my prayer for the party right now.
Right.
Well, look, the ones that she can't speak to, he will, and vice
Yeah.
versa.
Exactly.
And you just
Exactly
you're
right.
covering all the ground there, and I think it's brilliant.
I
It was
loved his
brilliant.
speech.
Right.
I loved his speech in Ohio this past week. It was really good. When he was up there at the podium, he had class, he had control, he spoke well. Everything he said made sense. He did a spectacular job. But Ohio's been in disarray this whole month. Honestly, for us, we've had friends of ours that were just facing 50 years each for 2 grams of wax cannabis.
And they were medical patients.
And they were medical patients, and they were being railroaded terribly.
Wow.
But
Okay.
we had them on our show last night on the
Can We
Can We
Talk?
Talk, and they beat the charges. Well, didn't beat the charges, but
They didn't do any
they
prison
aren't
time.
doing any
So
time.
that's
They got
that's
5
it.
years of probation, which is the best we could have hoped for with what they were facing. But then again, now in Ohio, I see our chair of Ohio's had to step down for sexist comments. Now, I mean, this
Yeah,
is
I
one
heard
thing that
about
we've
that.
got to eliminate. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we've got to eliminate this. And when someone says to anybody, I don't care if male, female, transsexual, whatever you are, I don't care what you are, but when somebody implements and
No.
imposes their own thoughts into something rather than what's just right or what's just as right or wrong, which in my opinion is let a person live as they choose to live, as long as they're not hurting anybody else and they respect anybody around them. His comment to her was, well, maybe you shouldn't dress the way you do, and people wouldn't think that way. Now, when
Yeah.
are we going to get past this?
I
That
know.
I mean, he literally emailed her this. This was in words. That's why I'm sure, stepped down, because she had his words right there. But to say to someone, what you wear determines who you are is just, I mean, aren't we far past that by now?
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's
But
yeah.
that's-
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about, like in our party. When I joined this party, after honestly,
You can't let things like
years
that
and
happen, that's all.
2 years of being with Larry and out there speaking for him,
Mhm.
and bringing our platform to him. We had a TV show in New York too, so we could reach over 1 million people in New York. So my gosh, that sun is right there, man.
Yeah,
Holy
it
crap.
is.
Yeah.
Oh
It
no, I'm
is.
sorry about that, but anyway, yeah, we could do that. But he opened it up to me, the whole idea that, because as cannabis activists, we all say, it's my body, it's my choice. I own me, you don't own me, whatever else. But when that was brought into the political realm, when it was brought to me in a political way, I was like, well, how the heck can that be? I mean, I don't see that going on around us and, with today's elected officials.
Yeah.
And, but that's what turned me on to the party, was that I could celebrate life. I could celebrate liberty, and I could celebrate my pursuit of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we've gone wrong. We've tried to group people and say, no, this is what's going to make you happy. You need to do this, and it's what's going to make you happy. And that's not the truth. And again, as long as we live and respect each other and just mind our own business, as long as we're not hurting anyone, what does it matter? It truly doesn't matter.
It's interesting because I know there's problems with the Declaration of Independence, the references to Indian savages and all that kind of, I get that. But I revere what the Declaration of Independence did. And it says that people are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Okay.
And then to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So the purpose of government is one thing: to secure the rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Right.
Government got no other damn business in our lives.
Right. Right. And they didn't in the beginning. States ran things, communities ran things. We made laws and decisions by how we lived, where we lived, with the people that we lived with. Now, I get it too, and I agree with you. Wording and nouns and pronouns that were used in the original document are different than they are today. Yes, we've grown and we've expanded past that. So that when I say, let's adapt and live as though the way it was written, I don't mean that blacks shouldn't have votes. I don't mean that Indians are sex. I don't mean all that. We've gotten rid of that. Women have the right to vote. They're just as equal as a man. I mean, we got all that. We've all understand that now, that we're 200 years into the future and we progressed as human. But still the basic principles of it, yes, we should definitely be enacting. I say all the time, I think the only amendment that holds any water is the 5th. And why is that? Because the government uses it all the time when they're confronted with their lies and stuff that they have to finally be held accountable for. I'm going to find
that's the truth.
Yeah, and all that's great, but look at what we have in society today. I mean, look how easy it is for mainstream media to get you right back into that mindset of racism and hatred. And it's why is that so easy for us to just fall right into? There's so many that just fall right into that crap, and it's all crap. Something that we have gotten rid of 200 years ago that we just can't seem to step away. As soon as something comes on mainstream media, just gives us those couple little keywords that we just latch onto.
Right.
It's the subliminal messaging is so blatant, but why are we so easy to conform to this?
And that's
saddens
exactly
me.
One of the things that really disturbs me is the tendency of people right now to buy off on anything that validates their notion. If you're anti-government and somebody publishes some whack conspiracy thing that's anti-government, people they won't check the facts. They'll just jump on it and promote it. And if you're pro-government, same thing. They'll just jump. What we need to do is we need to be the adults in the room. Yep. We need to grow up. We need to realize that we're not right all the time. I mean, I realize I'm right most of the time, but the rest of you, you're prone to make mistakes.
I'm right all the time when I'm taking a shower because I'm there by myself.
Yeah, I'm a legend in my own mind. But honestly, Pete, Helen, what we need to do is we need to grow just a little bit of humility. Yes. We need to be okay with the fact that it's not all about us. The world doesn't revolve around me. And then when somebody says something that we disagree with, we can get into a conversation about it. If somebody says to you, well, I don't believe in legalizing weed, and you say, well, let's talk about what the criminal effect of it has done to our culture. Yeah. You know, I don't even touch the stuff myself, and I'm 100% in favor of decriminalizing it because of the damage that the criminal codes have done to our culture.
That's right.
Now, I try to explain it to people this way. Imagine you're sitting home and you have a 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an infant, and you're sleeping in your home. You and your wife are in your bed, and the next thing, you don't hear a knock at the door. You hear bang! The door gets blown open. People come in. They got guns, riot gear on, automatic weapons pointed in your children and your face. They're yanking you out of your house, throwing you out on your front lawn for a plant. Now, I don't care if it's for a plant, if it's for a bomb. You don't do this to people. You cannot invade their homes, and you cannot terrorize their children, because you're scarring these poor kids for the rest of their life. They know their parents as loving whatever parents that aren't doing a thing wrong, that are growing vegetables in their home. That's all they probably think. They think no less or no different than it. But then to have armed people show up in tanks and SWAT teams, and that's how they do it. You know, you don't get 2 officers that knock on your door and ask politely to come in your home. That's not how a drug bust goes down.
Exactly. Wow. And by the way, if you're a good Constitution-loving 2A American, what have you got in your side table?
A gun.
A gun.
And what are you gonna do when you hear your
shoot somebody?
Right.
And
take it out.
and this has happened so many times now. The person does the natural thing to do. They get blown away in their bed, and the government says, well, we had the right to blow them away. They had a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's, you know, and you had made a statement, you know, that's the natural thing to do. And you're right. And you also had talked about, you know, you've never touched cannabis. Now, I'm all about the natural side of cannabis. I'm all about why everyone should ingest. And especially in the world that we live in today, and not just today, a generation ago. The amount of poisons that are in our foods, that are in our water, and that are in our air. We have no choice, because we need to neutralize those oxygen-free radicals that run rampant through our body, that do not allow the process of apoptosis. And
that's what's making America sick.
Making us all sick. These
I'll buy that.
Yes, and all these diseases that we like to name so easily are very preventable and very reversible. You know, I treat my heart disease completely. That was great. I treat my heart disease completely holistically. Now, when I go in and I get my checkups, and I go for my blood work every 3 months, and I am confronted, I don't usually go to a regular doctor. I go and get my labs done. I read them myself, or I'll go over them with the doctor. But when a doctor looks at me and says, well, you can't reverse heart disease, it makes me very angry, because I have. And I know that it's possible because I've done it. Right. And it's the anecdotal evidence that we have in this country can no longer be ignored. Even though that we don't have the case studies that Israel has, that's by design. We don't have them because we refuse to have them.
Right. We pay for them, but we refuse to have them.
It's the anecdotal evidence is enough. We've got enough years behind us, and enough states that have had legalization and medical programs to prove what cannabis is capable of doing. And just the simple fact, cannabis, right. Not just cannabis, clean eating, clean living, but just the simple fact and the knowledge that cannabinoids neutralize oxygen-free radicals is huge.
Yes. And when you can wrap your head around that, you should be able to understand.
That's why.
And 100%.
Yeah, and I want to educate as many as I can come across on that, because that's what's going to make the difference on how many people are coming over to the side of, you know what, cannabis is just a plant, and it's a medicinal plant, just like many of Mother Nature's plants, and that'll give us the cognizance to understand that she's here to regulate us, not the other way around.
We've noticed that now that we've moved to a completely different area of the country, everything's different here. Plant life's different
Yes.
here. Animal life's different here. Like just before the show, I made wild lettuce tea.
Yeah.
Why? Because my back was hurting. I'm not running to a pharmacy chest and grabbing a pill that's going to have 5,000 side effects that I got to filter, fillers through my kidneys and all these things that I don't need. I went and picked wild lettuce and I made myself a tea, out of it. Why? Because the Indians did it. Yeah. What do we think before pills and doctors companies came along?
What did they do?
Right. Exactly.
Right. So I've been really digging deep, and especially with Helen's Holistic Hints, her other segment that she does on YouTube, offering these holistic things that you walk by, you don't even know what you're walking by half the time. How well it can help you,
That's so true, and I have to toss in there, by the way, because you mentioned that we take pills to do these things. Almost every pill that's in use right now is designed to imitate something that a plant does. There are a few exceptions, but almost all of them are crystalline methods of imitating what a plant would do in your body.
That's man trying to utilize Mother Nature and regulate her. No, you can't. It's the other round. She does all the work. And we got to stop messing with her.
Right.
And by the way, it was 100 years ago that the textile cotton growers, the textile industry, and the tobacco industry started lobbying against the hemp industry in the United States, and they came out with reefer madness and all of the silly propaganda stuff. That was purely commercial interest lobbying against. That's all that was about.
Yeah,
I think Helen's right where we need the education part.
For sure.
That's
I think that when you're on the fence about cannabis and Mother Nature and all she has to offer, the education's the only way that you're going to come over to the other side of the fence. I mean, you're always, if you don't have that education, you're going to be questioning everything you're told. So you need to have that education, and not for nothing, it's personal accountability. How do you allow, what are you doing?
Go ahead.
How do you allow your soul to possess a being you know nothing about?
That's really, to me, that's the point, because like I said, I don't use the stuff, and you might convince me that I need to. That's a different story. But I'm not somebody who's saying let's legalize it because I use it. What I'm saying is we need to legalize it because criminalizing it has done a hell of a lot of damage to our country.
That's right.
We've got generations of people who have been damaged. It's mostly along racial lines, but just in general, our public has been damaged by these laws.
For sure.
Well, I the reason why, and I want to go back to something Dawn said, and how education is so important. Helen and I do a podcast. We have an online store of CBD. We're constantly sell product. We help anybody out with any illness. We don't care whether people think it's legal or illegal. We will still help people because we don't want people to be sick and die. But the point is, if anybody ever visits our website, and the thing that they don't understand is that the shop is one tab. There are 10 tabs on our webpage that are nothing but about education, whether it be about health, whether it be about relationships,
advocacy,
whether it be about saving people from being in jail for victimless crimes, you name it. Our brand has encompassed all that for a long time. So people have to take that, and we say all the time, yes, we have a consultation fee. Everybody has a consultation fee if you're in business, okay? But we waive our consultation fee if you use product or accept service. It's not like we're trying to take money from people, but I don't have hours upon hours upon hours of my day like I used to when I did nothing and to just talk to people. But if people take 5 minutes to take a look at what people really do, not what they sell, but what they do, and listen, I mean, the whole website's loaded with complete education. Helen's got
It
the plant
is,
breakdown
it
on
is.
there, the CBD, the endocannabinoid system. She's got it all broken down on there. And people, if they took 5 minutes to read, other than
Right.
reading about something stupid.
Well, I want people to really start paying attention to what's going on around them. And I know I think about conversations that you've had with other people, and how many times do you lose somebody in conversation and you're like, I know I lost them,
Yeah.
they're gone, they're not even listening to me,
Yeah.
they've totally checked out.
Yeah.
Why is that happening? People don't even they
don't even realize they're doing
well,
it.
no, they do realize that
Oh.
they're doing it, but they have no control over it.
Yeah.
Their mind is like so shut off from the way that they live. Most people these days shy away from these conversations. They stay away from crowded groups of people because they don't want to interact in these conversations because they can't keep up. And I know this because I was one of them. And there's so many people that are like this still, and it's a lot of it's from the way that they eat, the way that they live, or all the pharmaceuticals that they're on, or all of the above.
Well,
That's what I was. Yeah, all
Exactly.
of the above. Exactly right.
And this
TV.
is what we
TV is
need
the
to
biggest-
change. Well, come on, when
Yeah.
you're in that situation, that's
Yeah.
all you're doing is sitting in front of the TV,
Tele-
making a groove in the
television
couch.
to me is a worse epidemic than the opiate crisis any longer, because
Oh,
watching
God.
television has frightened every human being on this planet. Let's face it. They have driven home
But it's
the
a
fact
chain
that
reaction, Peter.
I won't mask and bash. I won't non-mask bash. That's not why I'm here
No.
today. But I have been breathing this air for 56 years without my face covered. I haven't for 1 minute covered my face unless it was out of respect for a private company that wanted me to do so when I entered their establishment. And at that
Yeah.
point in time, it was my choice whether I wanted to use that establishment or go next door and use it elsewhere. So that's my thing. I just don't get the eating thing. I don't get the dining thing. I don't get having to wear a mask in there. What are you, immune when you take it off to shove food in your mouth? What are you, popping the COVID back in? It ain't got a chance to come out. I don't get why you got to wear a mask into somewhere where you're going to take it off to shove food in your mouth, that you're going to be spitting food all over the place every way. Anybody's going to get sick if they want to. So
Wait
why
a
are
minute.
we wearing a mask?
Peter,
going into a-
you're not saying that government regulations are inconsistent, are you? You're breaking them.
Totally nonsensical.
It's just, there are situations, I get it. When they're funneling you like a cow through one door at Walmart, 1,000 people at a time, yeah, you might want to have a mask on. But the minute they touch your stuff and put it in your bag, it don't matter if they got a mask on, gloves on, whatever else, the other kind of stuff. We're not washing our hands in between each, changing our gloves, and we're not doing all that.
Look,
There is no protection. It is silly.
So talking about that in similar vein, talking about Walmart. So the whole thing, they shut down the world. You can't take a pee without government permission, but Walmart can be open, and you can have three. Now we have some friends here in Washington State who live near us who own a business that sells home decor items.
Mm-hmm.
And their business was forced to shut down for 3 months. They weren't allowed to do anything. But Walmart, who sells home decor items, they didn't have to rope off those aisles and say, no, sorry, you can't shop for that right now. So Walmart is basically putting the small mom and pop businesses out of business. Right. But you can have 300 damn people in the Walmart store, and you can't have 3 people in the mom and pop business.
Well, that's because, as Rima LeBeau says, Dr. Rima LeBeau from New York, the big 5 are in control. It's Big Pharma, Big Medica, Big Chema, Big Agribiz, Big Techna. That's who's calling the shots.
Well,
and that's what needs to change. I mean, it's.
Well, listen, here's what bothered me even worse. $9 trillion in payouts to big business. Big business hasn't been affected.
Not at all.
It's been the little guy. You get a
Exactly.
$10,000 business loan. People have gotten $1,500 stimulus checks. Yeah, a $1,500 stimulus check since March. $1,200. Do you know? Or $1,200. Sorry. Jeez, I gave us $300 extra dollars. Maybe I should be president. I don't know. But anyway, it's silly that they think that little crumb did anything. It did nothing.
Well, they're coming out with another one.
Do you know how? Listen, God's honest truth.
Another crumb.
When that $2,400 was expected by me and my wife, I said to her, I will not buy sneakers, food, anything else. If I buy anything, I'm buying property.
Yep.
We moved to friggin' Arizona and we bought 10 acres of property. That's what we did.
Yep.
You know, I'm not going to
Very
give.
good idea.
I'm not giving that money back to them, to the people that got 9 trillion. I'm going to pay them. I'm going to give them my 1,200 too. Forget it. I'm not doing that. I bought.
What a great, we're going to buy that Airstream trailer I've been wanting. That's
then you have to come and you have an open invitation.
Yes, you're welcome to our property
anytime.
Yeah, we really chill.
What you guys are doing is pretty incredible. I love watching the big house come in on the property, and
that was cool.
your outhouse is being built. I think that's really cool. But getting back to the other topic, my question was, like, who says who's essential? I mean,
how do you say that cannabis is essential and then also have it Schedule 1?
That blew my mind. When they said cannabis is, the government said cannabis is an essential thing. You have it as a Schedule. We have an essential, non-essential. What in God's great day are you talking about?
It's a federal crime, but it's essential.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you'll go to jail, but
I don't understand. Yeah. Look, that case that he was just talking about in Ohio, that was such a strange case that created a lot of precedent. So that's probably the upside of how this turned out. However, one of the rulings that judge made was that couple could continue to medicate through the policy of the state while they were being charged.
Yeah. To you, we're going to bust you for what you are doing, yet you can still do it.
It's a head scratcher, Dawn. I don't know what to do with it.
I got a huge head to scratch.
I
know. I don't get it.
But see, that's why
it's kind of scary.
It is very scary to have that kind of nonsensical crap going on.
Kind of stuff going on, you know. Yes. I don't know. I think I feel so sad for my grandkids.
Yes.
But right now, just all these things that are happening. And of course, you know, I really should just quit looking at social media. But I mean, I think this world is really like we're circling down a drain.
It is. But I think that, and I've been saying this from the beginning since we left, I think that the universe is putting the right people in the right places to help this situation.
To help
and I think that all of our meetings are divine in my mind, so that we can position ourselves to make the changes that we need, because otherwise, you're right. Our grandchildren, what do they got? What do they got to look forward to?
I'm going to run for office. I don't know what I'm going to run for. I'll probably run for something local just to get in.
Yeah.
You know, and Helen wants to run for a judicial seat just because she's just sick and tired of the system and how it's done wrong. But, you know, if we keep having people like you, Ken, like, you know, Adam, like Dan Berman, like Vermin Supreme, like Joe, like, you know, and if you don't know these people's names, just go on my page. Don't look at the crazy weird memes and actually look at what I put on there. Visit the voluntary option. We promote these people for a reason. Why? Because they see proper change that needs to be made. They have a plan to do so. They're not. Listen, that's the thing. I had a bunch of my friends say, well, you can't do that. What do you mean they can't do that? They can do whatever they want to do. You're just listening to them tell you, well, we can't do that. Yet at the same time, stroke a pen that is twice as evil as what they could be solving with the swipe of a pen.
You know what's ironic about this tweet is we in our history books, we make heroes out of the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah.
People doing exactly the same thing in the streets today. The president says we're going to send in the National Guard and throw you in jail. Those people are heroes. Now, I'm not saying if you violate somebody's rights, if you hurt somebody, if you take their property, that's on you. That's not what I'm talking about. But protesting in the streets and telling the government we're not going to take your crap anymore, that's as American as you can possibly get. And we need to encourage it, not push it down.
Right.
I'd say I had somebody had posted a picture in one of the Libertarian pages today about, the feds that are in Oregon, complete face covering, this and that. I said, well, that's because they're embarrassed. If they don't want anybody if their mom knew they were there, they'd have their ass beat by the time they were home. I mean, literally, that's the way I feel about it. If anybody that darns a uniform can, I don't care what your orders are. That's when you have to stand up and say, no, I'm not attacking my own people. For what? For speaking their mind?
Right. So I have a question for both of you, actually. Ken, do you believe that we're in a soft martial law right now?
I believe it's more than soft martial law.
You.
I think the government has, it's like the way we declare war these days. We declare war without declaring war so that we don't have to be accountable to it. So what they've done is they've imposed martial law all over the country. Governors are saying, well, it's an executive order that you've got to stay in your home or do this or do that. The state constitutions, except for maybe 2 states, don't give the governor the authority to legislate by executive order.
Right.
So unless the law is already passed, the governor can't say, okay, now I'm going to make you stay in your home. The only way you can do that is martial law. And that's, the federal precedent on martial law makes it extremely hard to declare. And yet this is exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think people are not really aware of what their rights are.
Not at all.
And you just kind of go, when the government does something, people just sort of fall in line or think that that's the law, and they just aren't really aware of what the law is.
But why are those people not educating themselves?
Here's the problem. Partly it's fear. Partly it's the success of the government-operated media, whether you're left or right. All of the media is operated by the government and government interests now. So they have managed to scare people into thinking that they have to do this. Now, I've got to say this about it. Here again, when I go out in public, I wear a mask. I do that out of courtesy and respect for people so that they won't be afraid. And we've maintained, we stay in the house more. We don't go out and do things quite as often. And, so we're trying to do a lot of reasonable stuff here. It's not that I don't think we as sovereign citizens, I don't think we have an obligation. I mean, I do believe we have an obligation to do smart things for other people. But that said, the government doesn't have the right to mandate it. And that's what, so, I'm in this schizophrenic place of I'm wearing the mask, but I'm not doing it for the
right, but you're not doing it out of fear. Okay. And this is out of kindness, right. And this is the thing. Respectful. The majority of our society is doing it out of fear. But why do they have that fear? Why is it so easy to tap into that fear? Because there's so many receptors turned off that's all people run on anymore.
It ain't just there's about no rationale. Being turned off. You got a guy sending federal troops to cities. I mean, they're afraid because the guy's doing it. I mean, let's be realistic. When you wake up in the morning and you got tanks and shit in your street, I don't care who you are, you're going to be scared. And that's where we have to stop it. Hey, listen, I know you got to get off to do your podcast here in about a minute.
That time. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, it is. And I don't want to run you over. And I've really, truly been trying to keep that in mind, again, out of respect, because we do appreciate you guys and at least offering us the time to speak.
I have one quick question, though, for Dawn. Are you going to run for office?
No.
Dawn is just, it's like, I look at the two of you and you two are kind of mirrors of us. Pete and I definitely married up. We've got wives that are a lot smarter and a lot better looking than we are. And we just need to call it good.
Yes.
But Dawn is smart enough to not run for office. And I give her credit for that.
But you know what? I want to be in. That's what I've learned this past year is education is so important. Knowing what your rights are, caring.
Yes.
is also important,
Yeah.
because that's what gets things going in your local community, is getting people to care
Yeah.
So,
about what
Dawn,
happens
with that
to
said,
them.
that sounded like a perfect pitch for the Board of Education.
Yeah.
Just run for a seat there.
Yes.
It's still having
That's
control. It's still having say, and it's still doing the ring.
Yeah. For sure.
You guys we love you guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank
and,
you.
Oh, thanks for
it's a
joining
pleasure.
us.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yes,
take
and
a
you
minute
know
to
what?
plug your show,
Because
Ken,
of
so
this,
that when we
I
get off
am
mic, we
gonna.
can watch it. Oh, sorry.
ahead.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dawn. You say first. Go
No,
ahead.
I was just going to say thank you, Helen, because I am going to check out your page, because that's the only way things happen, is if when you start learning about stuff and
Sure.
Yes.
Please do. And if you have any questions ever
Ever.
for me,
Yeah.
always just reach out. Text me,
Okay.
email
we
me,
are
call me.
We are so easy to
just reach out. I'll
Yeah.
answer anything that I can for you. What I don't know, I will find out.
Ken,
We'll do that.
So when I get off my podcast, people can switch right over and they can be entertained on yours.
Yes.
Go to
Right.
ArmstrongLibertarian.com and we'll be there in just a few minutes.
You got it. You got
Thank
it.
you.
Take
Love you
care, guys.
We
love you.
We
Take
truly
care.
love
We'll
you
see you
both.
soon.
Thank you again for gracing our screen and sharing your time with us. Good
Yes.
luck on your
Okay.
show.
Bless you
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye-bye.
Hey, listen, that's what it's all about
It
right
is.
there, man. Having good people like that.
It is.
They're spectacular.
They are.
They are who they are. I mean, I've never Ken Armstrong has never said or done anything that I've never seen Ken
Look,
Armstrong
he's
say or do.
well. That's what genuine people do. That's just how they are. They can't do it any other way. They don't know how to do it any other way. They just are who they are, and I love that. And those are the people that I want around me. That's for sure.
Without question, And if you guys do get a chance, please take the time to go to Ken Armstrong. Ken Armstrong's page. Hold on, I'm trying to pull that up here for you right now, guys, and I don't know what the hell I just did, but whatever I just did. Anyway, we'll get back to that. But in the meantime, to help us, you can please, and when you do get the chance, it helps this podcast and many other podcasts, guys. If you can just go to patreon.com, which is our Patreon. It's
patreon.com/CWT42TVO. And that's Patreon, which is a monthly subscription. It's attached to both of our podcasts, to this one and to Can We Talk. And it comes with monthly subscriptions. Once you get to the third level, the levels go from $5 right on up to $100. On the third level, you'll start getting product, and that product will come to you every single month with your subscription. So there's lots of great benefits, and you don't want to miss out on it. And the other thing would be to go to our merch store, our swag and merch store, for Mother Nature's Den, for the voluntary option, and for Can We Talk 420. And that is teespring.com/stores/CWT 420 CWT 420 TVO -swag.
I'll put it all up. I tried to share the screens. My first time trying to do production in my own production studio.
One other thing you can help us with. That is going to the YouTube channel for the voluntary option, subscribing to the page, and watching these podcasts from there.
Yeah.
Rather than on Facebook.
It's better to watch our podcast from YouTube. It helps us. It's beneficial. Yes, they're seen on Facebook. So if you do miss it, you can either watch it on Facebook. If you can't watch the whole show, go finish watching it on YouTube if you need to. But the point is to drive the traffic there, so we can at least
we got to bring up our
view
hours.
It's just view hours. The view hours that we're stumbling with. And I have Jim's probably gonna laugh. Jim was probably laughing his rear end out because I'm sure he's probably watching. Our producer isn't with us tonight. He had to go pick up some food. Adam's wife is coming back tonight, so we went and picked the dinner. He went and picked the dinner up for her to bring back. So he's not with us today. So I had to try to man this while I was doing it. Which isn't.
Hey, we did it.
Listen, I didn't share Ken's website. I didn't do that stuff, but. Ken will definitely forgive me for that. Well, definitely forgive me for that. But listen, with the Patreon stuff, guys, it's everywhere from $5 a month to $100 a month. From the $30 a month tier, which is called a heavy quarter, you start receiving product every month. And you'll receive product in the mail as well as the other benefits that are offered, behind the scenes stuff and everything else.
Peter and I give away a lot of product.
We give away,
we give away product every week on Can We Talk.
We give away product every day when we run into people.
Yeah, if a prize goes unclaimed, we look for a local activist and we give it to an activist who's out there. And
please go to the lp.org. You know what I forgot to freaking do this whole damn time, Helen?
What, Peter?
Is I forgot to have that thing going across the bottom anyway.
Oh, well, it's over now.
Anyway,
Peter.
Yeah, it's fine.
Jim's
see, that should have been going on the whole
you.
time. You see, that's one thing that I screwed up. So we need to tell about the LP. We need to grow the LP. Please, guys, the Libertarian Party is here for anybody. It's here for anybody that is anybody. And please, if you go to lp.org, read our statement, read our opening statement, read what our principles are. People said to me, what somebody said the other day, boy, that sounds kind of Republican. Well, another guy said, that sounds kind of Democrat. Well, it sounds kind of Republican and kind of Democrat because we incorporate both plus the third eye. We do things the right way. We view policy, we view people, and we view situations.
Isn't that what the country was built upon?
Yeah.
A bunch of people having different ideas, and they're taking the best of those ideas and creating a democracy.
Right.
Isn't that what it was all about?
Wasn't it about freedom and being able to express
yourself? It doesn't
yourself?
have to be about a party. It needs to be about the right choice.
Well, people say all the time, the Libertarian Party is a party that's the party of weirdos. Well, there's more weirdos on the planet than there are people that are walking around in suits, because that's why they're called 1%ers. There's more of us everywhere, guys, walking this planet that believe that freedom is something that we all are looking to achieve. Believe that the personal pursuit of happiness is something that's owed to us.
Yeah.
Again, we don't ask to come to the world. We're brought to the world by our parents. They did their thing and here we are. But now it's up to us when we're here to do the right thing and to be the
best people we can be. That's our job. That's our job.
That's right.
Period. Be the best you can be.
For sure.
Holy shit, is that hard?
And what I'll say, I'll say on the platform, because listen, I'm libertarianist, I'm a voluntarist, I'm a voluntarist, I'm an anarchist. I'm all of the above in certain ways. Why? Because they all have good points. Voluntarism is my approach. Why? Because I volunteer myself to do things in the proper way, volunteer myself to follow a certain set of principles. Okay. That's where I sit with it. I'm not going to be forced to do anything by a government. And I believe all government should be voluntary. And I believe all people that are involved in government should have a voluntary approach to it. That's huge in my opinion.
That's a great saying by Gandhi. To truly find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others.
That's right, and that's how I live every day. She lives every day. But what I gotta say is, there's so much, guys. As a libertarian, as a person of this party, as a person that cares about the survival of this party and to watch this party thrive, we have to stop cutting each other's throats. We truly do. If you do not like a person's personal life, so what? I don't care if you like their personal life. What they put forth, what they show to you, what they bring to this party, and how the changes they plan on making in order to make your life better.
Look for integrity. Yep. Look for a moral compass. Yep. Look for those things. Yep. It's very simple, and we love to just convolute things, and we need to stop doing that, and we need to look at what's important.
Maybe we don't know what goes on in people's homes, I mean, you don't know.
So are you supposed to? Are you supposed to?
Right.
You're not supposed to know what goes on in other people's homes unless whatever is happening in those homes is coming out of those homes and affecting someone else in a negative manner. Otherwise, it's none of my damn business what's going on in somebody else's
house. That's right. And it shouldn't be anybody's business. And
look, we watch out for each other. You watch out for your community. Yes, it takes a village to raise a child. Yes, and you'd hope that everything going on behind closed doors isn't hurting somebody that's in those closed doors. But until you know that it is,
Hey, listen,
you mind your business.
I'll bring up the perfect example, which is Joshua Smith. And we all know we endorse Josh for
That's
LNC
a shame
jail.
with all the crap.
Josh is going through so much crap because people are trying to sling personal junk about him. Now, listen, the man's personal business ain't yours. Stay out of his home. Stay in your own. The man has brought more people to this party since he's been at large than anybody else. He has signed more people into the very organization you're trying to kick him out of because you don't like what goes on in his personal life.
Yeah, we need to just end that whole fiasco.
Yeah, it's silly.
I mean, it's a shame. It's a crying ass shame because it makes it doesn't have a good reflection on the party. It doesn't make us any different than the duopoly we're trying to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it in a nutshell. And we can't behave like that. It's not right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't have to agree. We have to be adults and agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. It's okay.
So if you're in New York
okay.
and you're in District 51 or 52, 51 has Tim O'Connor, 52 has Thomas Queter. Both great candidates, guys. Look into them. Let's do Thomas Queter himself. I love the guy, man. I mean, not for nothing. He's stellar. Very true. Watch Daniel Donnelly in New York, guys. I mean, Daniel Donnelly is probably one of my favorite people on the planet. Heart. I mean, really, we love him that much.
He's a stellar human being. I mean, he's as close to perfection as you're going to get. Daniel Donnelly is
I saw a
amazing.
Silly post today. Is Larry Sharp going to run for mayor in New York City? Why would Larry Sharp run for mayor in New York City?
We need him in a bigger office than
national office. We need, even if Larry isn't going to be P or BP, he needs to sit and be on an advisory board. He needs to have a position in government. We need to ask some of these things. The guy's a brilliant guy, and I appreciate and respect him. If you're in North Carolina, and I forget the town, I will post the town in the comments afterwards. If you're in North Carolina and there's a mayor running, Chris Cole, he's he does victims of family law, victims against family law.
He has Acted Dad, right?
Yeah.
That's his podcast.
Yeah, he's a brilliant guy. Another guy that just has the same thing. That understands a different side of things that go wrong. You know, parenting and splitting of parents and what happens to our children in the meantime and how the government treats men, especially women too. Depends on which side of the fence you're on, whether you have custody or whatever else. But just the laws and rules are just horrible.
Well, look, and the statistically speaking, what happens to those children when they are either separated from their parents and placed in foster care, it's pretty gross. And we can't continue to let things like this happen. There's so much reform that's needed in this country. And we've tried it from two different views for too long, and it's just not working.
No,
it's just not. Well, can we at least all agree?
That's right.
On that. It's just not working. And we need to take another look at things from a different perspective to make the changes that we need for our future little beings that are going to grow up
to have an actual place to live and be proud of and happy and not afraid
to
and
prosper,
healthy
and
be educated properly, and all these things are changes libertarians are trying to make.
So if you're not a libertarian yet,
become one.
And
visit
please visit thelp.org.
Also, shout outs to Anthony Wetley in the state of Washington, who's running for insurance adjuster. There's lots of great people that are running. California, please elect Governor Wildstar. Let's get this Newsom out of office. Let's bring some real principle and real freedom to the state of California. You want us to secede, it doesn't matter. You'll still live under a lot better rules other than be forced into vaccinations.
You know, and you people that live in California, take a good look at New York. Don't think that there's any difference between Cuomo and Newsom. I think they're kin.
Yeah, I think they might be related as well. All right, guys, listen, that's our episode this week of Voluntary Option. Thanks to my beautiful wife for joining me as a co-host. Thank you to Ken and Dawn Armstrong. We love you both. Well, we support you both. Ken, if you're running 22, we're there. You know, all you got to do is give us a yell.
Let us know.
You know, maybe not in person, but we'll do everything we can for the campaign.
For sure.
That's for damn sure. All right, guys, from Pete and Helen Yapel this week of the Voluntary Option, please Live the freedom. That's your freedom, because that's really all that matters. Peace.